Welcome to the Live Fully with Kratom podcast. I'm ETHA co-founder Alexander, and with me is fellow co-founder Victor Chung. Good morning.
Morning, Alex. Welcome back.
Thank you. And we also have our producer Nicole.
Good morning.
We're laughing because we didn't have a prompt up, as if we need this prompt. But it just feels like you need it, right?
I know. It feels like what am I doing?
You didn't even look at it at all.
No. Yeah. So I was like, well, I say the same thing every time. But today we are going to talk about where I was for the last week. And,
seriously.
In the Czech Republic for a 360 Kratom conference on policy and regulation.
Nice. I can't wait to hear. We haven't talked, so
No.
I have no idea. I didn't even know you were going to show up. Maybe you got kidnapped. Or you finally decided to move to Europe.
That's happening. I wanted to. I don't know. Well,
Did he just drop a bomb on us? Okay. All right. Well, let's get started. Okay. Now I can't think of anything else. All right. Well, before we jump into that, what's going on?
is that one live viewer, I think?
Is there a live viewer?
It looks like one versus
Hey,
zero.
It's me. It's
there you
me.
go. That would be Nicole.
Hate to burst your bubble.
It's all right. That's okay. No one loves us.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's get into this. Before we jump into it, do we want to go over health tips? I'm going to say yes because I have a little surprise for you.
Yeah.
Okay. We usually do industry updates, but this is really an industry update topic, really. So I thought we'd focus on this.
There's always good updates for health and kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I've even just traveling, realizing how fortunate, at least I am and we are, to be able to focus on health as our primary career.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like we get to focus on all these health aspects because we're in Kratom, we're in natural medicine,
Mm-hmm.
these natural supplements. And then we benefit greatly because health is such an amazing enabler and then also that detractor. Because I love that RFK quote where he says, a healthy person has 1,000 dreams, but then a sick person only has one dream. And it's so true. Yeah. And because I've had some friends that have been sick recently. So we've had some business partners who've been sick, and it's very detrimental when your health isn't there. So yeah, very fortunate that we get to focus on these. So absolutely, we should get some health tips going.
Yeah, we're always that's it's always top three things I'm thankful for whenever whenever you're forced to say what do you think?
Gratitude and health, 100%. It's fortunate now.
Yeah, even little things are annoying. Like I have a minor ache. I'm like, this is ruining my life.
I mean, I didn't take my little seat cushion on the flights anymore because it's since I've been doing my back exercises, it's vastly different. So I'm very fortunate.
Give it to me then. I'll take it.
Well, I keep it in my car because it's just a little bit of elevation. It's kind of nice. And
yeah. Alex has this purple seat cushion thing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So health. I did want to bring up this. So if you guys have been listening to some previous podcast episodes, we talked about hydrogen as a supplement. And for a week, Alex and I drank water with molecular hydrogen tablets in it. And I don't know, it was fine. But the whole time, Alex kept on saying, this is fine, I guess, but I'm probably misquoting you, but what I really want to do is bathe in it. And we're like, yeah, you should get the whole unit. There's a whole system that you're purchasing and all that stuff. I didn't buy you the whole system, all right?
I mean, probably good because I don't actually have a house to implement it anywhere.
Okay.
I don't know where I would do it.
But for now, we got you this, and you can dry run it.
Are we all going to try this?
No, it's all just you. It's not me. I didn't want to do it.
Oh. Hydrogen bath tablets.
There you go.
Nice.
So you throw it into...
How big are these tablets?
I don't know. Or you have to maybe do multiple, I bet.
Yeah, I wonder. Sorry for the crinkling.
No, that's ASMR. It's fine.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, okay, that one. It is amazing how those ASMR videos will get how many views on YouTube. You can imagine how did that...
It works. We'll do a whole
things
ASMR
I wish
episode.
that I started.
Right? Instead of Kratom, just making ASMR videos.
Whoa.
Not as big as I thought it would be. It's like a Mentos.
Yeah, but I would figure a bath bomb, right? Something that's the size of this whole
it's
entire
be
container.
Multiple.
Add one tablet per 5 gallons of water.
Well, how much is in the bath, typically? More than
I
5
mean,
gallons.
yeah,
like 20?
yeah. Oh, I mean, a bath, it could easily be probably 100, couple hundred.
No,
right?
not that much.
Okay,
then that would be like that whole bottle's one bath.
Let's take a guess what the
All right.
average bathtub in the U.S. gallon is, and we'll see whoever's closest. But we gotta
Yeah.
Chat GPT is not going to be accurate on this. It'll just give you an answer, and you can. So let's see. I'm
going lower. You're going. I'm going like 30. 40 maybe. I'll go 40. Now I'm gonna keep on creeping up higher.
I know, right?
Like
right.
No, whatever you say, -1.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like 60
60
gallons is probably a decent amount.
I'm gonna go 40 then.
All right. That's probably somewhere in between there. That's
Right.
that's a decent amount.
What do we got? Let's go. And the answer is
Still working on it.
ChatGPT. You're not trusting the answer.
It's giving me like inches, you know. I have to
Oh,
specify
Depending on the
gallons.
size of just give me an answer. I don't really care if it's right.
Okay, here we go. Drum roll.
Drum roll.
So what did you guys say?
40 gallons. He's saying 60 gallons.
40 to 50.
40 to 50. Oh!
But that's for a standard alcove bathtub.
Well, I mean,
if you
that's
go
exactly
for
what I was referencing.
a soaking tub, it's
Oh, okay.
60 to 80.
Oh, you're referencing the soaking tub,
But
of
then
course.
I don't know. That's what I mean. Yeah, it's obvious. So yeah, that's what I said. Like, right, it's going to be somewhere like 40 sounds about right. 60 sounds somewhat about right. That's
But
probably
you're
somewhere
supposed
in
to
there.
soak in this anyway, so you're probably more right than me.
But then, wait, there's more. There's a freestanding slipper tub,
Yeah.
which is 55 to 90.
90.
Or a
Look at that
whirlpool
range.
tub that's 70 to 120.
Booyah. That's the
So.
money tub.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay,
But yeah,
so how many tabs do you have to put in per? Is that literally just
One tab per
No,
5
come on.
gallons. That's what I mean. So it's
So you
like
got to put
yeah.
in like 10 tabs.
Yeah. So at least like
How many
right
tabs are in that bottle?
60.
All right, so you get 6 tries. Not too bad, actually. Okay, not
Okay. It's
horrible.
yeah. But still, it's
I don't
kinda
want to do
like,
the price per though.
No, that's what I mean, right? It's like, oh, well,
kinda
that,
pricey.
that hydrogen generator for $4,000 looking pretty good right now.
Right? That actually does look good. This is not the way to go. But you can try it. 6 sessions, you should know if this makes some difference.
Yeah, well, I mean, right, because like Gary Brucka, when he was talking about having guests to his home and try it, he was like, and like one time they tried it and like they felt amazing, slept better that night. The next day they had amazing results. So I guess that would be like, right, yeah, this would be a good way to, if I was going to buy one of those $4,000 systems, I'd buy this whole thing, just dump it in. If
Yeah.
it worked, then cool.
It
Then
works.
I'd buy it. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so that's a good way to do it.
All
Cool.
right. You keep
Thank
us
you. Yeah.
You
I'll
keep
see
us
how this-
updated.
I got to find a place I can take a bath now.
That's true. You don't have a bath in your place?
Uh,
Standing showers?
Yeah, no, I'll figure it out.
All right. All right. You can come over to our place. Just don't be naked.
It's you have to have
Again.
most skin contact.
Of course. Then Lisa will like judge me more. I don't need that. Why can't you be like other guys?
What? Wait, what?
What? Other guys?
How is she gonna judge you again?
Anyway. All right. So that's oh, and by the way, I didn't tell you because you weren't here. You've been gone for some time. Lisa's doing the carnivore diet.
Nice.
She's been doing it for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And,
excellent.
A little bit of like
Why? Like, what started her on that path?
wanting to fit into her professional clothes because she goes on trial. She's not in trouble with the law if anyone's listening. She's in prison right now. No, she's a lawyer. She has 2 trials coming up, and so rather than buy a new wardrobe, she's like, I need to shed some of this pregnancy weight.
Well, I mean, it's good just to reduce that just for overall health is a good idea. So
Yeah.
I'm glad whatever the reason is, like it's a good
she's been on it.
motivator. So that's awesome.
It's been great. And first week was hard. You know that,
The keto flu, as it's sometimes called, the first 1 to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird.
but she hasn't been like remember how to not having like cravings and not being hungry all the time because you're not calorie restricted.
Yep.
So she seems to be fine. Whatever food I give her, she just eats it and is good with it. So she hasn't been like, I need more flavor, I need this or that. She's just been like, this works great. So it's been much more easy than I thought it would be. And for her
Cool.
too, she's been like, the hard part was we were at Disneyland.
Oh, yeah.
Impossible.
Yeah, I mean, eating at home is easy part. And like, I think
Yeah.
it's actually simpler when you're eating at home, just
Yeah.
because at least for me, it's like I don't have to buy a bunch of different ingredients and worry about all sorts of, different vegetables, say ripening or spoiling at different times. It's kind of just like very simple process for me, like living alone on that side.
Yeah.
But yeah, eating out has got to be.
Disneyland is nothing. Should want a turkey leg, of course.
Okay. Yeah.
I was like, yes, I got some meat finally. And then we had a pastrami sandwich, and she just took the pastrami part and chucked the rest.
Yes.
Oh man, it was so hard for her. But she wasn't like starving the whole trip,
Nice.
So that was good. So that's been going well. And she took Kratom. She doesn't use Kratom ever. She's been a Kratom skeptic for the most part. Even though we do all of this, it's always good to have a person that's keeps you in check a little bit.
Right. Yep.
But she was in lots of pain, menstrual cramps, and walked over to me and said, all right, what Kratom should I take? I said, oh, okay, we're doing this. And it was before Disneyland, so that's why she's like, I don't want to feel this way and have to walk, carry baby, and all that stuff. So I'm not going to, suffer through it. She doesn't take any drugs or anything. She likes to be totally natural and clean. And but she took it, and then she said, we were driving to Disneyland, and she goes, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm sitting, but all my pain's gone. I go, it could be because you're sitting, or maybe the Kratom that you took that's designed to help you with this thing we're talking about. She's like, yeah, it worked. Okay, fine, it worked.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, but I guess that's the nice part about Kratom, right? That it doesn't feel like you've taken something, so it's very subtle, and it's kind of like the pain just melts away in the background.
Yeah,
and that is the best part about it, is that it's not interfering with how you feel or kind of altering your state or anything. It's just like, oh yeah, I just feel like I'm having a good day now all of a sudden.
I had to ask her. She's like, oh yeah. Well, yeah,
yes,
like that kind of deal,
Right. Because then most people, I mean, when I've given it to people that have not consumed Kratom before, then they seem like they're having a really good time, a great day, and then all of a sudden 5 or 6 hours later, they're kind of like, oh, like I'm kind of feeling this pain again. And it's like, oh, maybe Kratom was working, because it's that subtle, and it's that type of relief and kind of just getting back to your normal life, that then you start getting distracted and you get all this, energy to go do things. And all of a sudden it's like, you realize it more when it kind of starts to stop working. So
yeah. And then she even recommended to my aunt, like halfway towards the evening, she goes, Victor, give me some of that. I'm like, do you want more? She's like, yeah, I need a little bit more, but your aunt over there, she's suffering. Her feet hurt and she's tired and stuff, but she doesn't want to rest. She wants to keep on going. So give her some Kratom. I'm like, okay.
That is amazing. So Lisa, it's taken Lisa 8 years.
8 years. That's
8 years to that's great. I'm glad she's gotten on there, but it is but that is the challenge of natural products. It is the challenge without having some kind of authority of some doctor in a lab coat telling you some information, that it takes a while for people to get on board. So it's, but eventually we get there. So I love it.
Better late than never. Patience. Yep. Patience is key. All right. Let's jump into this. So yeah, you've been gone for a bit from other travel too, not just for Czech Republic, but you were in Czech Republic for how long?
About a week. So it was May.
You were there for that week. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then...
so I basically, I had to I was invited to a conference from an organization called the European Union Institute for Rational Addiction Policy.
Wow. It's a mouthful.
What's the acronym for that?
IRAP, I guess. And so it's a newly formed, I want to say, they said they were formed.
Change your name.
No. Well, you kind of, but that's all government organizations, right? It's very descriptive. It's what it is. Like, what do they do? Oh, Institute for Rational Addiction Policies. Okay, you kind of know.
That's a great mission.
Yes.
So
yeah, and basically, their entire mission revolves around. I saw this chart multiple times, which was, it was like imagine a graph where you have on the vertical axis the amount of harm that's created.
Okay.
And so the higher you go on the graph, the more harm, the lower, the less harm. And then on one spectrum, you have essentially prohibition, so outlawing, banning drugs, substances, everything. And then the other end of the spectrum, you have complete, say, regulation, or say over-regulation.
Okay.
Or sorry, no regulation.
Reverse.
So no regulation, complete open free market.
So everything's banned, to
to like
do whatever
nothing,
you
like
want.
yeah, no regulations, everything's open.
Yeah, okay.
And what they kind of kept showing was that, well, in that principle, which we kind of know from, I don't know,
It isn't gonna be
100
linear.
years of the war on drugs,
Yeah.
is that there's kind of this, if you have no regulation, okay, there's a lot of harm that gets created because people will do whatever they want, just try to make money. There's all sorts of mismarketing practices. Cool. And then the other side too, if you have a complete prohibition, well, you essentially kind of get the same thing. We create cartels, we create this system where a lot of money is created, and you create a very profitable black market.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that if you start implementing regulation, you kind of start reducing harm. And then same thing too on the prohibition side. If you have too much over regulation, even let's say it's not a prohibition, you can have still too much regulation that still causes a black market or a gray market where it's just too expensive for companies to do things properly. And that way customers then still go to the black market because they just want the cheaper products. And so, this imagine like a U shape where at some point there's this nice balance of somewhere between no regulation and over regulation. There's this nice balance point that will cause the least amount of harm in society. And so that's what they kind of kept showing again and again, was their overall goal was that, okay, we have these substances in Europe that do not fit into the food category and they don't fit into the drug category. And right now they're unregulated. And so Czech Republic is really moving forward with the first regulation on what they're calling cyclomodulatory substances.
Okay.
So these are food products, botanicals that have some kind of physiological effect on us, like kratom, cannabis, kava, canna, which is a cactus. So there's all sorts of these products out there, and they're trying to implement this regulation in Czech Republic. And because Czech Republic is part of the European Union, hopefully they become a bellwether or the first step and set the precedence for these substances.
Wow. So why did they have you there?
They invited me there out of default, probably.
Winner by default, I'll take it.
Yes. They invited me there because, they are a new organization. And so it's an interesting evolution that they're going through. But my topic, I gave a presentation on U.S. kratom regulation and ethical business practices.
You're the perfect person for it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I've really had, we've had a history of going through this start. We started ETHA back in 2016 when the FDA tried to do an emergency scheduling ban of kratom. So it kind of fits exactly into their topic of U.S. wanted to ban kratom, but then the consumers, the general population, public, even kratom companies came together to show why a ban would be negative outcome for society. And the U.S., at least the kratom companies that are trying to do the right thing, formed the American Kratom Association, started to implement self-regulation and start guiding their own regulation to keep kratom from being prohibited. Because as we know, legislators do have a difficult job, to say the least, to govern people. There's always issues they have to work through. And unfortunately, it's much easier for a legislator to simply ban a product than it is to implement regulation. And we actually see this in pretty much every industry almost, is that industries will come together, form their own coalition or their own industry councils to really implement what they think is proper regulation and self-regulate and teach the governments of what is needed. Because honestly, a lot of the companies do have the most expertise and the most knowledge about these industries, and they can really help the governments understand it and implement proper regulation without being too strict or over-regulating that just causes issues in itself.
Yeah. I can't think of a better person to come, and we do business in Czech Republic as well too.
Exactly.
So we know the local market as well too.
Yeah, and the local market is going through some interesting challenges. So this institute, or at least this particular event, was really funded by only maybe major one kratom company, which kind of has a history of, say, not self-regulating, not implementing the standards that we expect, what we do with ETHA, and not really implementing the regulations that consumers want. They kind of went for more of a inexpensive product, trying to make as much money as possible. And so now they're kind of seeing that, well, as you know, our partners in the Czech Republic, Kratomia, which was kind of one of the first companies to really start bringing kratom into the Czech Republic. Essentially, they were, I mean, I'll say it, they were inspired by ETHA and kind of what we did to really form their own company. That's why they partnered us a long time ago. So that's super, I don't know, it's very overwhelming to see somebody that gets inspired by us and wants to do the right thing. So absolutely amazing.
We do it a lot though.
Yeah, I guess probably more than we realize that, imitation is the best form of flattery, and kind of that inspiration is
Literally just
great.
got off a call with two people wanting to start a kratom brand and inspired by us.
Wow,
So
nice. That's great. I mean,
that's why we were late for this a little bit.
and I hope that's reflective of, well, our inspiration comes from what we as consumers would like to see. So it's really what consumers are looking for, and what we just want to keep kratom as effective, as convenient, and as transparent as possible.
Yeah.
But I mean, kind of back to some of the complications around, I mean, anytime politics gets involved, I mean, I would say I am more naive when it comes to how to scale businesses inside some of these complex areas. I mean, I like to focus on transparency, focus on testing, focus on just the science and the quantified, any kind of quantified metrics. That's what I like to focus on. And so what I kind of started picking up on is that this Institute for Rational Addiction Policies, they've been formed by former government officials, and so they have kind of their own aspirations where they would like to see these types of regulations be adopted into the full European Union. So they're kind of looking at, okay, well, how can I take this process that's just starting off now, that's needed, but then get into, say, this bigger aspiration of the European Union.
To what end?
I don't know. I mean, that's like just political motivations of maybe kind of influencing. I mean, and I think at the core, they're still great people. They're good people. So they want to influence regulation in a positive way. But it's also how they have a larger impact on the European Union than simply, say, Czech Republic or one country. And it seems like they want to, kratom is a great candidate for this type of regulation, because unlike cannabis, which is, say, mostly recreational, and with that, during one of the presentations actually given by a foundation from Thailand, there was this, because kratom has been used in Thailand for centuries or longer. Same thing with cannabis. Cannabis has been used in Southeast Asia for centuries and millennia as well, until U.S. made it illegal back in the 70s. But there is this part of the presentation. There is this, I guess, tale or kind of general feeling of the population that if say if you're a father and you have a daughter who wants to marry somebody, and that person is a kratom user, they're generally looked at as, oh, well, they're going to use kratom traditionally because they're going to work hard in the field, they're going to do these jobs. This looked at as very favorably. But if that person is more of a cannabis user, they're looked at more as, oh, they want to hang out on the beach, they want to relax, and that's kind of true, right? There's it's kind of what do you use these substances for in general?
Yeah, what's the use case? What's the use case?
That kind of has been. So it's that kind of use case of kratom has amazing stories of people, life-saving events. Like for us, right? I mean, for myself, kratom saved my life. It let me manage my chronic pain, let me get back to exercising, let me heal my back, and help me with that depressed state that I was in, with that physical physical issues. So I think it's very true that kratom has a great story, great use case. And yes, there are concerns like any substance, and any substance will always have things we need to be worried about or informed about. Of course, right? I mean, even simple things like caffeine, water, like even no matter what it is, just nutrition in general, we need to be educated on that proper use.
Preventing abuse from happening.
Yes.
Yeah. Anything can be abused.
But in general, I mean, alcohol is probably the one that has the most issues. It's just that we have such a history of use, and that is going to be integrated into society no matter what. Yeah. But so if we had alcohol at this time, if it was something new, it'd be very hard to pass. But kratom has such positive stories, has all this great research behind it. Oh, it's still challenging, of course. Right? Of course.
It's ridiculous when you think about it. Well,
Mm-hmm.
benign and power, and yet effective.
Yeah.
and yet somehow still a challenge.
I don't. It's crazy. And
You
I
know?
did. So Dr. Martin Kukash, who I think you've heard Marek talk about before.
Yeah. We talked with them once.
Yeah. He's I mean, congrats to his lab. So if
I
you
saw
want
the videos.
Yeah, nice. So like,
Nice.
it seems like these long names of descriptions are very common.
What's the name of the lab?
The Forensic Laboratory for Biological Active Substances.
How the hell did you remember that?
Well, because I didn't quite remember it when I was doing the video as well as I should have. So I was like, I should really know this one.
Take two? Did you do a take two on it?
I did not, but I figure like I owe it to Dr. Kukash to kind of keep
At least
that
do it
going.
right now.
So I will.
Apologies.
Yes, I will keep that going.
Yeah.
So, but he received his ISO certification. Became
I saw. That's
I think
great.
one of the 2 labs now that is fully accredited to perform kratom testing on the alkaloids and the quantification of those. He has
That's
an amazing
great.
lab. Yeah, a super fun lab to kind of walk through and see some of their tools and techniques.
Yeah, I was a little jealous. I was like, I want that lab.
Yeah, right. It was really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had a machine. I want to say it's like a. I'll have to look it up. It's like a quad. Oh no, it wasn't like it was a mass spec, but it looked more at I think they kind of used some of the quantum interference, almost like an MRI, to kind of help determine what molecules are in it. So with that, so typically in analytical chemistry, like what we use with HPLC and kratom, we can quantify, which means we can tell how much of mitragynine, like is this 1% or 1.5%. So we can quantify that active ingredient. But with that type of system, you really have to look at what you're trying to quantify. And if something is slightly different, like this is what we ran into with the isomers of speciosialatin, that's slightly different. So that quantification becomes very hard, or you might not even detect it.
Yeah, I mean, you see some of the more popular third-party labs in the U.S. give a kind of combined readout quantification.
Yes.
So they'll say, like, this is mitragynine, but know that there are other alkaloids in there.
Correct. Yes. And so with this other mass spec system, Dr. Kukash can put the substances through and it can detect unknown compounds. So it kind of looks at this library. You can kind of get a lot of great analysis out of it. And actually, so you can take, this unknown sample, put it in, and at least put out a report of like, oh, here are all the different types of molecules and chemicals in it.
Okay.
You don't know necessarily how much of each one is in there, but you have a list of what is in there.
What's present.
So it identifies unknowns.
Oh,
Yeah. So
still
really
awesome.
cool. Yeah. Very, very cool. So it's
okay.
And so his lab is also responsible because of the forensic side. I mean, they have the credentials to test like psychedelics, like cocaine, psilocybin. So they get samples, say, from authorities all over the world, and
we'll talk later.
Get to identify what's in those. So they have some just really interesting knowledge that's coming from that laboratory.
That's great. That's really great. I know you've been working closely with them, so I'm sure they appreciate all the work you've done and the visit as well too. So it's a really close partnership that we have with all those guys out there. So and it's always nice to visit.
It's so fun.
So we were there last. It was
December.
winter, so it was cold and snowy. The winter.
It doesn't get much warm. I mean, it gets a lot warmer than the cold winter storms and snow.
But it's not, of course. Right?
But it does not feel like summer when you're there.
No?
Right?
Okay,
No.
So
I mean, it's kind of like between say 40s at night, depending on where you are, maybe like 60s, sometimes 70s. Like there was some beautiful weather. I mean, when I was looking up weather, it was like rain and thunderstorms, and that was always like kind of coming, but it actually turned out to be quite a bit nicer. So I mean, I got apparently like the week before they had a little bit hotter weather. So it's that type of inconsistent weather or actual weather that we just don't have in San Diego.
Yeah,
so there's
it's
that
all
side
the same. I was talking with someone from Argentina, and they're like, "What's the weather like?" First, I was like, "We got to do the conversion from Fahrenheit to Celsius." It's, but they're like, "No, I want to know what's the weather like in the wintertime." I'm like, "No, that's the range." Like, but what is it now right now? I'm like, that's
the same.
That's kind of the range. Maybe minus, 5 degrees. That's about it. So we're so lucky.
Yes.
We're just so spoiled.
Yes, I mean, so like there was some rain on Sunday, and I was in Karlovy, Carlsbad of the Czech Republic, which amazing city, beautiful. I mean, it was a little bit colder because it was rainy and kind of stormy, and I was like, "Yep, this is like the worst weather we would ever get in San Diego. This would be our winter technically, and yet it's like a nice rainstorm in the middle of their summer."
But we don't have natural springs and
there's there's always benefits
history. Man, I love the architecture.
The air was so vibrant, and just you could tell just like the oxygen, the cleanliness of it, because it's in the mountains. There's the air coming through the water that just there's definitely benefits.
I miss all that.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay, so how did your presentation go? Did it
great. Yeah, I would say that. I mean, I would say that my presentation was probably better in 2 main ways. One was that I had a really nice visual presentation, so some images that correlated to kind of the main topic I wanted to present, as well as then a very, say, consistent or kind of tight presentation of here's the information I want. Did not repeat things, but still had nice ways to tie it back to each other. So kind of started with some of the history, kind of came to where we evolved from, and then looping back to some of the current concerns we have and how we can better organize as a industry, and really kind of what some of the takeaways of, hey, this is what helped the US, this is what I'd like to see here as well, so let's make sure you guys work towards that. I would say that because I prepared kind of like the last 2 days before, I didn't have much time to go through the presentation. I didn't memorize it. So it was much more of like just making sure that I read off of my script. And that's also because
folks are looking at the visuals anyway.
And there's also a translator. So that's the thing too, is that somebody's translating. It's like people in the audience had their own little device that somebody in the back room was translating for them, which means, I tried to really select words that would be easier to translate. So using less, jargon or less personal, and the way sometimes that just doesn't translate well. So exactly. Yeah. So that's why I made sure to try to read through it and kind of really give a good tight script on it. But then also it was kind of not super engaging necessarily. So I'm just up there kind of reading and kind of going through. It's not the best on that side.
Oh yeah. Still.
Yeah, so that was kind of the good part about it.
Is the most important, I think, is just getting the message out.
Yes, exactly. So the information was clear,
itself,
it was concise, and then also the main parts were accentuated a couple times to make sure that people kind of remember it, versus sometimes it's hard when people go through an unscripted presentation. It's like, oh, that little piece of information was the most important part, but kind of just lost in this long 40-minute ramble. Yes. And that's the other thing too, is like, it was a very tight program of 20 minutes, but yet quite a few people went way over their time. And it's a little frustrating when a speaker or presenter is like, oh, I know I'm like, already 10 minutes over this, but I'm just gonna keep going and just talk through and just like, can you like, so that was kind of the weird part.
Disrespecting the other speakers and,
and the audience, right?
Yeah. What are we doing here?
Yeah. Let's be a little more professional on that side. Yeah. But I did learn, so interesting, Dr. Kukosh, they are doing some primary research on kratom and the alkaloids. And so one thing that I did learn is that there's an indicator of something they look at for how chemicals interact with the brain. And I think it's called, if you can scroll down a little bit. Is it? Yes. Okay. So there's an indicator they look at in the brain called BDNF. And so if this indicator increases, it essentially means that neuroplasticity is increased and that learning or memory is probably better. And so what they see from low doses of kratom is that kratom increases neuroplasticity, helps with improved memory, which is something I've not seen anywhere else in the research yet. So they're doing some really cool, And I mean, at higher doses, it probably does kind of reduce memory capability, but there's some really interesting research coming out of Dr. Martin's lab. So that's
why we're geniuses, man.
Of course.
This is great.
Yeah.
Wow. As if we needed another reason why kratom is awesome.
I know. Yeah. And that's the fascinating part is the research showing, and that's, I think, what we're seeing with, natural compounds in general is that they're easier on the system. There's multiple benefits. There were several people that I talked to just casually throughout the conference that this idea that, yes, we as a population, as humans really know, including pharmaceutical companies, know that multiple compounds together are much more effective than trying to find and isolate this single molecule that's going to do everything. It's like, we know that that's not working. Like that one drug is not going to solve all the problems. So it's really, okay, how do we turn back to natural substances to get these overall benefits?
Yeah.
I did also like to see in this presentation, there was much more of a focus on how kratom helps with blood sugar levels. So that's something that we've talked about in the past that's not been well recognized, that kratom basically inhibits a enzyme called glucosidase so that your body does not break down complex carbohydrates and does not absorb glucose as much as it could from these foods that you're eating. So it really helps lower blood sugar, stabilize blood sugar, and diabetes is definitely a growing worldwide epidemic, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And some of the, and I think some of the frustrations though from our partners from Kratomia, as well as the other vendors who have been doing the right thing, who created the Czech Association for Kratom and also helped kind of create the European Kratom Association to really self-regulate and implement the right practices. Part of what is frustrating for them is that these regulations have been passed and they're being proposed and they're still trying to work their way through when they're going to be implemented. So right now it's the current kratom products in the market are still kind of open for, essentially some of the bad actor companies still trying to push out cheap products. And that's the part.
All that stuff passed late last year?
Late last year, it was supposed to be implemented, I think, in January, but it's kind of like, oh, well, it's coming. Now. It's coming. Exactly. And that's the frustration. That's a really, really big frustration.
Yeah.
And so I did.
Government.
Yes.
Known for its speed.
And so to kind of give an idea of some of the regulations they're putting in place, there's definitely going to be, say, an age restriction from minors just to keep that out of their hands without their parental consent. Perfect. Kratom shops or shops that sell kratom can only sell kratom. They can't be sold at, say, other stores that sell souvenirs or sell drinks and tobacco and all sorts of products.
Your thoughts on that? How do you feel about it?
I mean, I understand some of the direction they're trying to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, in some ways that can be an over regulation where it can just limit people that, okay, well, most products are sold through, say, health and vitamin shops that sell multiple products. Why limit? I mean, I think it's going too far in a lot of ways because it should be more around the education and the product.
Exactly.
I understand, say, not wanting to sell kratom next to candy or other products that maybe are confusing. Okay, there could be some stipulation in that side, but to have a kratom only shop is still, I don't know, a little strange. I mean, we saw the same thing proposed in Texas where there was a potential ban on not allowing to sell kratom in any shop that sold alcohol or nicotine. And that was kind of like I would understand if it's like, hey, you can't sell at a shop that is, say, mostly selling products to children because this is restricted from minors. Okay, don't make that confusion. But if you have shops that are already selling products that are restricted to children, you should want to put it in those categories. So then people know, oh, okay, if you're in this, it has to be like adult only. So I think Texas was a unique case where they just really wanted to try to do a shadow ban versus actually proper regulation. I think Czech Republic is trying to do proper regulation just so that kratom's not sold in a way that is confusing to people yet because it's so new.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they start there, but then they'll open it up.
Yes, yeah. And they also have some regulations on how much can be sold in an individual package. So I think they're limited to 50 grams of kratom leaf per package. Okay. And the maximum alkaloid concentration for mitragynine can be 2.5%.
Wow, okay.
And then they do also have a limitation of 0.1% of 7-OH. So that's great to see the limitation on 7-OH.
That's good. I was about to ask you about the extract side.
And so they are allowing extracts, which is great because as we know, extracts can do a great job of removing biological contamination. Extracts can be a great way to standardize the alkaloids or the active ingredients that are in the product. But there are concerns as far as over consuming products. I mean, we've seen this. I mean, I think we've had some friends or employees that have tried other kratom products when there's like a small little kratom shot that has 125 milligrams mitragynine and it's supposed to be 3 servings in a single tiny bottle. That
they
is
slam
really
the whole
hard.
thing. And
Yes.
it's like, oh no.
And so that's why you'll see that kratom extract is allowed in the Czech Republic, but the maximum concentration per the package is 12.5%. So that way you can't have these super concentrated little, shots that people can easily overconsume. So I think there's some really good direction of.
That all seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah. So there's still some open room for products, but
is there a restriction on the number of bags you can buy?
No. And so that's the other part I asked about as well, because
now I have to buy 4 and I can't get discounts on bulk.
Yeah. So they, as an example, they do have restrictions on how many cigarettes come in a cigarette package. I think it's like 20 cigarettes in a package, but you can still buy a carton of, say, 10 cigarette packages, so you can still do bulk. Which makes sense, right? So it's kind of like, okay, if I'm going to limit the amount of caffeine in a can of Coca-Cola, well, I can still at least buy a 12 pack of soda, because that's a reasonable. But at least as a consumer behavior, I'm not going to accidentally consume 6 servings when I think I'm only consuming 1. So I think there's some good directionality they've taken with this regulation.
Yeah, but it goes back to that graph, right? It's like it's so hard to decide. Is this overregulated? Is it not enough? The nuance is so critical.
Yes. I mean, I would say that. I mean, the U.S. I think on cannabis is a good example where some of that has been overregulated in ways of they've tried to overtax cannabis, and it's created this weird situation where some states have such a high price for cannabis that it's like driving people to a gray market or black market, which is not what we want.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you're in Czech Republic and you're a legislator, please implement the laws that you've already passed. That'd be nice. Let's clean up the industry, right?
Yep.
All right. Overall, what'd you think of the whole thing, the whole event? Was it 1 day, 2 days?
Apparently it was 2 days. The first day was only for actual legislators, so I was not a part of that at all. Didn't really know what was going on. The second day, it was great. It was, I enjoyed the setting, to say the least. I mean, Czech Republic, Prague, amazing.
I love Prague.
But then what's also really, really nice about the government is the old historic buildings. The palaces are still used by the current government today. Right, yeah. So it's not like they've turned those buildings into museums and we're just doing this conference in some random hotel like we're accustomed to in the United States. It's in this beautiful palace, I think the Liechtenstein Palace, this really nice room overlooking the river. So all these beautiful decor. So it was a very cool experience to go into and present these locations.
Compared to some of the presentations we give here in the US, it's like a no window conference room in a random hotel. It's like,
yes, exactly.
You feel claustrophobic. You feel like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel comfortable at all.
Even
the one thing I want to do is just leave when I get to one of those things, I
mean, even the congressional briefing in Washington, D.C. that I went to was underneath the Capitol building. So you kind of walk down these steps into the building, and it's like dungeons. Yeah, to your point, it was like this windowless, small little room with like a projector up front, and that was it. Yeah. It's like, okay, yeah, I guess it keeps people focused.
That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah. So overall, it organized very well. It was great.
Anything else you want to share? Did you do anything fun that you can share?
I mean, I love just traveling there, so walking around. Nothing super exotic, but just kind of meeting up with some of our friends there. It's nice because now this is the 3rd time I've been back. I got to see some familiar faces and actually, start like that. So that relationship gets much stronger just after the 3rd time seeing people. Yeah. Like, it was great to see a bunch of those familiar faces.
Nice. Food?
Food, yes. So one of the traditional.
They at least go cook for you.
What's that?
They at least go cook for you.
Yes, we had a little bit of food, but not
So
the
jealous.
not the chicken size. So the main food that I ate multiple times is called a svíčková, which is essentially a certain kind of Czech cheese, breaded and then deep fried. So kind of very similar to like mozzarella sticks. I think you had them there. And so this is, I mean, so first of all, it's like, I mean, I'm kind of like a little 12-year-old kid at heart. Like I like to like just play with things. Like things are just like that way. So this is kind of just like almost like children food, right? Like deep fried cheese,
Totally.
Cool. And then they have like a tartar sauce, like a mayonnaise and like pickle kind of like dressing to go along with it.
Yeah.
And it's also because Czech food is very similar to Polish food, a lot of the other traditional stereotypical Czech food is also something my mother made a lot growing up. Mm-hmm. So this was kind of, so it's like, okay, great. I get a lot of that food already, but the svíčková, the deep fried cheese is not Polish, or my mom never made it. So when I was, so I had an opportunity to eat that multiple times. Mark took me around to a few different restaurants trying to like, hey, do you like this one better? Or you like this one better? So that was kind of the,
I like it. When he finds out you like something, you're just
gonna
gonna
get it.
You're gonna get it multiple times over.
Yes.
Which is great. He's so nice. Yeah. You're so funny, Alex. Like you have like this like two sides to you. There's like this one side where you're like super strict about diet and like exercise and wellness, and then like there's times where you just go buck wild. You're just like, whatever, sugar, bring it on, let's go. Yeah. 5 desserts, let's do it.
Yes. Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite of that, like that regulation graph. I'm either like full on this way or full on over here. And then it kind of averages out for me personally in the middle. So that's fine. So for my personal way, that average is perfect. But
yeah, I wish you had more of that, like just letting loose, because that's really fun. But then, then you would be 3 times the size and
probably in pain. Yeah,
lots of pain, all kinds of problems. So what you're doing works. I'm losing my voice. Okay. You might have to do the closing.
Wait. So what about, you mentioned you're going to move.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't touched on that.
Does this happen?
Oh, yeah. We'll have to talk about that. Yeah. I mean, like, I would love to, just because it's, I don't know, I feel, there's a lot of great feelings personally about just being in Eastern Europe and Europe in general. And that's something, that I can hopefully explore and kind of figure out some ways to make this happen. Would be
We'll make it happen.
Super fun.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing an ETHA extension out in that region, so it makes a lot of business sense for us. Yeah. And one half of the ownership of ETHA loves the area, so why not?
We'll make it happen.
Yeah, we could do this over Zoom.
Yeah,
and I'll visit you.
I guess that was kind of the because we did have that question for Ask the Founders, like what would we do if Kratom was banned in the U.S. and I didn't really have a good answer, but now my answer is like, well, I'm going to move to Europe. So
right, just move to Europe and we'll do there. We'll just we'll sell Kratom there. Yes, nice. All right. So he did not purchase a home, and all right, right.
No.
Okay.
No.
Put a down payment down. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, glad you're back, but I know you're leaving in like 2 days, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah. This is a local trip though. Yeah. So we have some local trips coming up.
Yeah. So, but thanks for going out there representing the industry, representing us, and doing a great job per usual. So we all appreciate it. These kinds of things it's the foundation when you're talking about a country deciding their approach to Kratom, and you're helping out as best you can, and that's well appreciated. So thank you, Alex. And we're going to share, we'll have, he took some great photos, did some videos, and so the lab that he went to, the conference itself, and we'll share all that on social media. We'll put it on YouTube and all that so you guys can see some of that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Awesome, guys. If you've enjoyed yourself and learned anything, please support the show by shopping at ethanaturals.com or ethakratom.com for all your Kratom needs. And if you have any questions, things that you want us to cover on the show, please write to us at a podcast at ethaнаturals.com or message us on social media or go to our website, contact us. There's so many ways to get a hold of us. It's all monitored. We're very responsive. We connect with our customers, and we will gather that information, add it to our long list of questions we have to answer, and we'll either devote a whole episode or we'll do it during our Ask the Founder episodes that we do once a month. All right, guys. I think that's it. There's going to be a discount tied to this. We haven't decided what it is yet, but it'll be in the description. So thanks for supporting the show. Get that discount. Get the deal. Take advantage of that. And thanks as always, guys, for your support. All right, I'm Victor.
I'm Alexander.
And I'm Nicole.
As always,
Live fully.
Live.